Okay, we are back out in the garage and I'm gonna be working on this project back here. It's a built-in for the closet upstairs. Gonna be adding drawers to this side, drawer pulls. We're gonna be adding faces to this side. I'm gonna be trimming the rest of that out. We're gonna be finishing this top, which you can see is gonna feature an oak inlay. I'm working on that right now. Got all the drawer pulls in here. There's no ball in here. But I'm also gonna be running this through a time lapse so you guys can kind of follow along with that construction process and see what this looks like. So hope you guys enjoy following around and enjoy these videos. For a hot minute when I went to fit that drawer in there, that more than likely that this thing was the wrong size. But hey Google, stop the music. Hey Google, stop the music. What I did find out is that this thing has just bowed a little bit, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put a back on it just like I've got over here, and that's gonna keep that square. So I'm not stressed about that. Those drawers are gonna fit in there just fine once I get everything all squared up. And that's my next step, is to cut out of these large pieces of, I mean, it's plywood. I'm just gonna cut that down to 40 inches to fit the back of this. So that's my next step. This basically, I put a bunch of weight on it so it bowed out a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a center support between these drawers. I've got this nice piece of oak that I had laying around, but it's not square. So I'm gonna take this thing, I'm gonna mill it down on my DeWalt planer. We're gonna get things going. I'm gonna let you join us for the time lapse. Looking forward to it. Doing a lot of debating here about what I'm gonna do, whether or not I'm actually gonna take this here and face each one of the drawers with that. You can see over here I've painted a little bit just to get an idea of what things will look like with all of the faces painted. I've also been debating, now that I've put some of these spacers in here, whether or not I need to be putting spacers in each one of those spots over there. I probably do. I've got the lumber for it. You can see I've got the piece over here. Chop that up, throw it in here, and I got one more drawer to assemble. That really needs to get knocked out today. I just don't know with this texture here how I feel about it. The nice part is it gives you like a different face, but then it also introduces like once I glue it down, it's gonna look a lot cleaner. I just don't know. A little bit tough for me to make that decision right now. Kind of once you glue that on there, you're going with it. My real question is, I don't have the correct bit for a router to clean that up on the edge. And I suppose I could take a saw and cut that down, get it real clean, but try to make that top edge just as clean as it could be. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this texture either, you know, compared to what the normal texture is here that you get with the MDF. I think we should just paint it. Got enough paint, paint it, see what we think after that. But I am excited about this top here. Nice oak inlay in the middle there. That'll look good. I mean, the idea is that that's gonna get a dark stain. That dark stain will contrast with that green on the front of all this. I think the green will also really give it a nice finished look. And then there are drawer pulls for every single drawer that are in here, which is the debate here, whether or not we put something on that gives that a different texture, different textured look as we're trying to finish everything. So lots to think about. Finally got this completely glued up. I don't have a ton of experience. I've watched some of the videos on like how to do it and what's the best way to do it. I don't have an assembly table at the moment, but I am working towards getting an assembly table. That would go right here in the garage. You can see I've got a lot of space on either side. Most of my setups are on the periphery of that, and that would be a fantastic place for me to be able to cut full sheets and do that. They have that on the out table, you know, the receiving end of that. So that's one of the things that I'm working on. I do really like that this has that nice oak inlay that you can see in the middle of it. I think when we stain it, what I am planning on doing is taking this Minwax special walnut 224 there, and I'm going to take that and we're going to run that right over the top of that. And then as soon as I'm done with that, just in an effort to give it another protective coat, I've got this clear satin polyurethane that I'm going to be throwing on it as well. Now, I used that on the farm table that I built earlier this summer, and I have been super happy with how durable that has been and the finish that we've got on it. This table back here, or with top, it's not a table, is actually gonna predominantly have shoes on it, I think. It's gonna function as kind of a shoe rack all the way across. So you're gonna have drawers as you come in, you're gonna have shoes there, and above all of this is gonna be hanging garments. So I'm pretty excited about where we are right now with this project. The next thing I'm gonna be doing is just flipping some of that plastic out of my way and continuing with my production of some of those stringers that are in the middle there that give some of that structural support. I took a look at the other one. It's actually really square. There hasn't been any bowing or changing in shape. So I'm pretty excited about that. That means that I should be able to cut those at a uniform length. I'm really tempted to take those, nail and glue those in place. That would save me a bunch of time. The other one needed to be a little bit more structural immediately to pull that bow in. And because you're not gonna be able to see the ends of either of these, they're gonna be butted up against walls and up against each other. I don't really care what that face looks like. So maybe I'll go with the glue and nail this next time. That glue is really what gives it the structural strength. This back here that we just did, I didn't put any rabbets, I didn't put any anything to join that. That's literally flat face against flat face, and that is glue. There is a YouTube page that I watch all the time called Project Farm, and they went through and they looked at, they did a couple tests on how strong this is when you bond two flat faces together, and it was incredible. It was just incredible. So a pretty standard procedure here. I'm excited about that. We'll see how it works out. Let's get to working on those fronts. Just about the last thing that I need to do is need to go ahead and put in this drawer. I need to put in glides on either side, get that set up. I'm trying to think what I used for a spacer on the other side. I'll have to poke around and see if I can't find something that is exactly the right size for that. Usually a spacer or something like that, which you can see in the video that I just used, the 3/8 dowels, which I wish I had one right here. 3/8 dowels. Putting that on each side is what has given me that nice even look on those. So we're pretty close to just slapping a bunch of paint on this thing, and I am of the opinion there's two things that I need to do. One, I do feel like I need to get a clamp on those, even though we put glue on those and nailed them. I just want that pressure so I get a good firm bond with that, and maybe I'll cannibalize one of the clamps here out of the middle to get that clamp down for the evening. I don't know, other than that, paint probably the next thing, but let's get this drawer slapped in. Let's get the glides going, and you can see behind me, I've got that final drawer all glued up. Just need to get a back panel for that, which I actually have got some plywood here. I don't think this is cut to the right dimensions. And if that won't fit, I'll just use some of the plywood that you can see in the background over here. So let's get to it. So the next thing that I'm gonna do is, I've run into a few errors. Number one, the drawers are 1/2 inch, if not 1 inch too long, which means that now that I've put these center supports in here, they don't come out. That's just gonna make that very heavy going up the stairs. It can be done, we'll get it done. The other thing that I am at right now is I think I'm gonna paint. So I'm gonna paint everything. I'm gonna paint all the exterior surfaces green, which means I don't need to paint the top. I basically need to paint the front and this end down here. Okay, I gotta paint that end. So that's what we're gonna do next. I'm gonna get everything set up. I'm gonna get this moved out of here so I don't get any overspray on that, because tomorrow I wanna be able to just quick sand the top, get any glue off. Any glue off. As soon as I get the glue off, we're gonna stain it. We're gonna move on. We're gonna put some polyurethane on that, and we're gonna be done with that. Then everything is moving upstairs. So I'm gonna paint all this just as it sits right now. Let's get going. just quick paint job. That's just the first coat of paint that I'm gonna put on there. Keep in mind that these are not a finished product. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put that pine and oak top on top of that. There's gonna be a divider that goes in between those that I'm gonna spray down with the same green. Trying to think what else. I mean, they're gonna look a little bit beachy, I think is probably the theme or what you're gonna see when they get in there. Coming along. Thanks, guys.